My brother spent our whole lives trying to one-up me, so I finally gave him something worth copying. Ever since we were kids, my younger brother had one obsession: beating me at everything. Not in a normal sibling way either. If I bought something decent, he'd show up with the expensive version. If I celebrated a win, he'd make sure his looked bigger. Back in high school, I saved for months to buy a used Xbox. A week later, he convinced our parents he deserved the newest PlayStation because his grades needed motivation. I didn't really care. As adults, though, it stopped being harmless. I bought myself a modest watch after landing my first full-time job. He arrived at the next family dinner wearing a luxury watch that probably cost more than my car, making comments about how quality always pays off. When I proposed to my girlfriend with a ring I could comfortably afford, he suddenly proposed with one twice the size and flooded social media with captions about raising the standard. When my fiancé and I planned a trip through Italy, he booked the exact same vacation before us, then kept leaving comments telling everyone he already knew the best places. The weirdest part? My parents blamed me. One evening, my mom quietly admitted they'd refinanced their home because my brother had buried himself in debt trying to outdo everything I did. She begged me to stop showing off. I wasn't showing off. I was just living my life. A couple months later, my fiancé Julie and I were putting the finishing touches on our wedding. We'd reserved a quiet resort we both loved, picked our photographer, and I'd spent weeks writing vows that actually meant something. Then my brother announced he was getting married the week before us. Same resort, same photographer, even the same florist. He somehow convinced vendors there had been a scheduling mistake between the brothers. I figured that was as far as he'd go. I was wrong. When their wedding video went online, I froze. He was reading my vows, word for word. I'd left the notebook at my parents' house while we were planning everything, and he'd copied every line. Julie completely fell apart after watching it. Those words were supposed to belong to us, and hearing someone else use them made our wedding feel stolen. We canceled the ceremony. That was the moment I decided I'd stop reacting and start thinking ahead. A realtor friend happened to show me a gorgeous old colonial home that looked perfect in photos. Behind the fresh paint, though, major foundation damage, hidden mold, a basement that flooded, termite problems that would cost a fortune. I started talking about that house nonstop. I acted like it was my dream property. I even left fake financing papers around during family visits and kept saying I was trying everything to make it work. For weeks, I built it up. Then one night I sighed and announced I'd finally given up because I couldn't afford it. I even said I hoped nobody bought it before I had another chance someday. That was all my brother needed. He tracked it down almost immediately. The house looked incredible during the showing. New paint covered the water damage, furniture hid the bad flooring, and he got so desperate to beat the imaginary buyers I mentioned that he skipped the inspection completely. A week later, he couldn't wait to brag. He laughed and told me he'd bought the house I'd wanted so badly and said maybe someday I'd be able to afford something like it. I just smiled. About 3 weeks after moving in, the basement flooded during an ordinary rainstorm. Not long after that, cracks started spreading across the walls. Repair estimates kept getting worse. Every contractor told him the same thing. It was going to cost a fortune. One night, he showed up at my apartment looking exhausted. He barely looked like himself. "You knew," he said. "You knew that house was falling apart." I reminded him I'd never made an offer, never even stepped inside, and nobody forced him to buy it. He had made every decision himself. Our parents had already emptied most of their savings helping with his down payment, and there wasn't any money left to rescue him. Half a year later, the house had drained everything he had. His marriage ended. He moved back into our parents' basement. He still tells people I ruined his life. The truth is, all I did was let him copy me one last time.